I was on a narcotics search warrant. Everyone was taking turns and we could not breach this door. People on the other side are like, would you like us just to open the door? And you're like, yeah, could you please? It was like, And that would be the reason why this would not be a firearm used on a tactical team, except maybe otherwise as a backup weapon. Now, what is nice about a 357 Magnum is simply this. It is a reliable gun with a large round, so it has stopping power. Revolvers generally don't fail, as opposed to a semi-automatic that can have a stovepipe, various different malfunctions. Revolvers don't malfunction. There could be one that I don't know of. I just never came across one. My actual backup weapon is a revolver. So in other words, if all else fails, I can switch to a revolver that I keep somewhere on my body. I'm not going to say where, but somewhere on my body is a revolver. Sometimes guys will put these on the front pouch of their vest on a tactical situation. But as far as your primary weapon, no, we're not going to be utilizing a revolver. This is a realistic piece of equipment. What's interesting about Battering Ram is it's not a SWAT only or a tactical team only device. Our sergeant's cars have a RAM such as this inside of their cars. So if officers in patrol need to breach a door, they can breach a door. They're used on tactical teams and they're now used in patrol services. So this is a very realistic item that is utilized in law enforcement. And that's how you would use it. But you would have cover. You would have a cover officer with you. One officer would do the battering ram, while the second officer would be there with lethal, just in case when you breach that door, something on the other side was going to hurt you. Cover officer can deal with that situation. A battering ram is not difficult to use. You have to put some force into it, but an officer, even a small framed officer, can pick it up. They usually have two handles like this, and you're swinging it and you're going for that doorknob area because you're trying to break that connection that'll allow the door to swing open. We don't use it on the hinge side, we're using it on the doorknob side. So it's just bam, and then you step away and then everyone else flows in. Obviously, this guy was just practicing with it, but that's one thing about it. The person using the ram will step away, allowing the other operators or other officers to flow into the room. I have utilized a ram, and it did fail, as a matter of fact, because we all took turns trying to ram this one particular door. I was on a narcotics search warrant. Everyone was taking turns, and we could not breach this door. This was a well-made door, and this was a door to a house. Most houses don't have this type of security. Eventually, what was sad about this whole entire situation was the people on the other side are like, would you like us just to open the door? And you're like, yeah, could you please? It was like, But yeah, so they can fail because of the construction of the door, the way the door jamb is done, the way the locking mechanism. There's just so many different things that can defeat a ram. At that point in time, there are other things that you can do, like you can have a second breaching point. You can decide to use a breaching shotgun. So there's various different things that can happen. So this should not be the only piece of equipment that you should rely on. I play Ready or Not every Tuesday with a group of guys. We always ensure that somebody always has a shield, because the way the shield is utilized in this game is the person that's making entry into the room has that vantage point and that safety to be able to look into the room and tell the rest of us what they see, so the rest of us can enter that room. A shield is utilized in SWAT operations. It's also utilized in patrol services as well. And what I mean by patrol services is this: the regular officers in patrol that are in black and white police cars that you see every day across the country, they have shields as well, because we have come to realize that they have situations that they're going to use. Remember, a SWAT operation is a planned event. We come together and make a plan. As opposed to patrol officers, they go to the unknown and they may need a shield in front. Now, shields are rated differently. We have shields that can handle handgun rounds, and then we have rifle rated shields. So there is a difference in type of shields that someone could be using. Rifle rated shields obviously are going to be heavier because they have to take on those rifle rounds. Now, in Ready or Not, I believe those shields are rifle rated. Now, a little unrealistic part to Ready or Not is, how do you reload your magazine when you're holding a shield with your other hand? There have been different philosophies on that. Some operators, when they have their shield up, they have their magazines on the inside so they can drop. They drop it, punch it in, come back out, use the shield to rack it back in, and they get back into, if they got into a firefight. The utilization of a shield, it does take some training. Number one is you need to know how heavy it is. You need to know how to hold it. In regular firearms operation, I'm able to be here, come out, grab my front sight, and be able to look down the barrel. I have a two-hand approach to holding my handgun, which is the best, okay? Doing this is not the best. We train that way, but you also have to remember I have this, and then I'm coming around, and I might not be able to grab that front sight, so I might be point shooting. And you gotta have to learn how to point shoot and punch out to try to give you that maximum where you can grab your sights. Because remember, we just don't want to, because when you do this, rounds can go all over the place. So it's that training. The people that have shield, that are responsible for the shield, are the ones that practice that. Now that we all practice that from time to time, but it's the main people who are going to be using the shield that have that much more training and much more expertise behind it. Good old taser, taser, taser. He would drop 100%. Now, tasers are used everywhere in law enforcement. It became kind of like our go-to weapon when they first came out because, you know, it was like, oh my gosh, we could shoot some darts into somebody that just pierce the skin, making them collapse onto the ground, and then subsequently we can get them into custody. It was kind of like, this is going to be the weapon of the future. Unfortunately, there are things that defeat the taser, such as the darts not making contact, the darts not penetrating. These are all aspects of it. But for the most part, a lot of, well, just your general police officers carry a taser. And then for SWAT operations, yes, we have people that have tasers on their vest. And sometimes that's all their assignment is that when we come across someone who's not complying, it is their job to step forward and to neutralize that person utilizing a taser. Once again, it's just the taser can fail, and it does fail. And there are plenty of YouTube videos out there that show you how tasers can fail. And one of the interesting facts about tasers is that they're painted yellow, so they indicate that they are a less lethal munition because we don't want accidents to happen, as we have seen accidents happen across the United States, subsequently ending with a police officer going to prison for manslaughter because they unintentionally killed someone. So despite the simple fact that they're yellow, there are things that happen. Unfortunately, it results in someone dying and someone going to prison. Now, that's a good question. Can tasers be deadly? I've heard that they can be. I've never seen them being deadly. We're not supposed to multiple tase people. Like if the taser doesn't work the first and second time, find another way to take them into custody. We shouldn't be tasing them 3, 4, 5, 6 times. It is a different type of electricity that does not affect the heart. A prime example is this. You could not use a taser to jumpstart someone's heart if they were having a heart attack and in a rhythm called ventricular fibrillation. An AED comes into play, and AED provides electricity that actually stops the heart from fibrillating and then hopefully gets it start going again. Different type of electricity than opposed to a taser. So I'm sure somewhere someone has done something bad with a taser that's resulted in someone's death. I just don't know of any particular story that I can refer to. Yeah, I'm going to tell you right off the bat with night vision, it is utilized. However, it is an expensive technology. It is something that you don't commonly see in law enforcement. Your large metropolitan cities, even your mid-sized cities, will most likely have MVGs or may have MVGs, but it is not something that is, the pricing is so like here that we can actually get them for everybody. So it would be a tactical thing or a tactical piece of equipment. I think on our team, we have maybe 1 or 2 people that have MVGs. Not everyone has them, but you go out to larger departments, they have them. Don't get me wrong. I think they're great. They'd be awesome, but just not practical as far as this. I love using my MVGs and Ready or Not. So let me tell you a little about technology on MVGs. If I remember correctly, what MVGs do is they bring in the ambient light and it gets amplified, giving you that look that would otherwise be darkness. I can definitely be wrong. This is technology that I knew about when doing some research many years ago when we were trying to get MVGs for our team. But I'm sure since then the technology has just gotten that much better. We do night operations where we do train for nighttime operations, and that's a whole other wow. It's phenomenal to see what you can't see in the dark, and you do the best that you can. Do I think SWAT teams and tactical teams should have MVGs? Absolutely, every team should. They're just an awesome resource. But yeah, if you don't have them, you're not training with them. I'm going to talk a little bit about flashbangs because flashbangs are my pet peeve when it comes to tactical games. Here's the thing about flashbangs. Number one, we don't carry a crap load of flashbangs on our vests. Usually it's one operator, one flashbang, if that. I have operators that don't even carry a flashbang, to be honest with you. You got to make decisions on how much weight you want to have on your vest. I mean, we all know that. Second, when you throw a flashbang, when you're in that vicinity, yes, it does what it's supposed to do. It's designed to, right? It's designed to flash to blind you, knock out your senses with the noise to giving us the advantage of getting into the room. But in some games, the flash is just so unrealistic. It's just like, or like when you're like, in Ready or Not even does this. If it gets deployed too close to you, your screen gets all blurry and you can't see stuff. I have been in rooms and we train this way. We actually train where we explode a flashbang in the middle of the room and we're all about 4 or 5 feet away from it. It does have a somewhat effect, but your recovery time is pretty quick. That's why you have to get into a room pretty quick. We don't bang rooms like we used to in the 90s when I first started. We used to bang a room. Before you enter, bang. You enter a room, bang. Now we got to be more responsible about bangs because there have been plenty of documented incidents where a tactical team thrown the flashbang into a room and they've hurt children and even infants and other innocent people. So we have to know where we're going to throw that flashbang and ensure that someone is not there. So we take a look at things like when we're doing what we call a tactical workup. We check to see if there's kids' toys in the front, bicycles, this type of stuff to alert us that there may be a kid inside of the house. So we don't use something that's going to hurt an elderly person or a kid. These are all things that are taken into account when we do these planning for these operations. But flashbang's a great tool, don't get me wrong. It's a great diversion tool, but it's just not used like it used to be. A lot of these video games use the flashbang like it was the 90s. A flashbang can injure you. As a matter of fact, before I became a SWAT operator, I was a SWAT medic, and I had a situation where a flashbang blew up on one of our operators' vests on the range. Now, we still don't know to this day if it was user error or if it was a malfunctioning. And the way a flashbang explodes is at the top and the bottom, all the energy goes up or down. It doesn't explode in the middle because that would become a frag. So it's designed to go like this. Well, because it came on his downward side, his arm basically had gunpowder tattooing burn, and then he lost some use of his arm for a couple of months. He had to regain that back and that type of stuff. He eventually returned back to work. But yes, it can cause major injury. Zip ties as handcuffs. Yes, we use them. We even have a special tool to cut them. We actually have preset zip ties. These are not just willy-nilly zip ties that you get at Home Depot, though you could use those, but we actually have specifically made zip ties that are already preformed that we could take our suspects into custody, tie them down. The reason why is they're just easier to put on during a tactical operation, because remember, it's a fluid situation, it's fast moving. We don't want to be struggling with pulling out handcuffs and trying to clip them on and getting the right tightness to make sure they don't slip out of it. With metal handcuffs for tactical operations, you're talking about different things that, you can actually pinch someone too hard, that type of stuff. The zip tie just makes it that much easier to put on. It's fast, it's deployable, and when it's all said and done, you just cut them off real quickly. So I'm actually a big fan of the zip ties, but they are utilized in tactical situations all across the country. Most operators will have one set of metal handcuffs on their vest, and then usually on some type of strap, they'll have a set of the zip ties. Sometimes they're just our arrest team, because we have people who are designated to be an arrest team. We have people that are moving throughout the house, and we have people that are an arrest team. Then we have our medics, we have our snipers. Everybody has different jobs. So with that, we have people that will have maybe 2 or 3 on their vest, like other pieces of equipment, like flashbangs. You may have a guy who has 2 because they're considered the grenadier. But for the most part, everyone at least has 1 set of metal. Now we even have vests where you can actually even make handcuffing one where the whole entire thing is not made yet, but it slides. There's like a little pouch here that slides on your vest and goes all the way back. So all you got to do is pop this little Velcro, pull it all out, and then you put it together and so forth. So there's all sorts of different things. Some are pre-made, and then some we can make, just dependent. But I know some operators like to keep them unmade on their vest just for convenience, as well as you don't get hung up when you're going into rooms and stuff like that. Hey, this is the big debate in video game tactical world that I have with people on Discord. I have, with people in chat. Yeah, a Glock's just preference. We don't use Glocks. We've never used Glocks. We started off with the HK USP 45, or actually we started off with the Colt 45, then we went to the HK USP 45, then we went to a Springfield, which nobody liked. We're currently using the Sig Sauer Legion. I carry a Glock off duty. I like Glocks for my off-duty, but I would not want a Glock. Why I don't want a Glock for while I'm on duty? I don't know. It's just preference. I like the Sig. Sig makes a great gun, but yeah, there's always this big debate on which firearm's the best, because you got your diehard Glocks, and then you got your diehard Sigs, you got your diehard Colts, FNs, and the list goes on and on. Do we use red dots? Yes, we have just been cleared to put red dots on our guns, but prior to that, no, we did not. But yes, we do have red dots now on. A lot of officers are now upgrading their firearms to the red dots. A red dot provides more safety because, man, you got that red dot zeroed in. Where you're pointing that dot is where your bullet's going to go, and you definitely want that, as opposed to relying on your sights, so forth. So it does make firing a firearm that much safer and more accurate. Up until a year ago, no, we didn't. I mean, we had them on, the SWAT team had them. Regular patrol services, no, but now we're seeing patrol officers getting them now. The UMP, I love it. No, I have just never seen the UMP utilized for a law enforcement agency. It could be. There's some place in maybe America that some team is using them or some operators using it, but not utilized here in Los Angeles County as far as I know of any police agency utilizing them. So it's great for ready or not, but I don't know so much for a real tactical situation. When it comes to actual rifles, or what we call our long gun, it's all team dependent once again. I've never used the MP45, so it's going to be really hard to compare it to an MP5. Now, I did use an MP5. The nice part about the MP5 was the fact that it was a smaller gun, lighter, but the problem was it was a 9mm round. We moved away from that round when we found that it wasn't the best round for a tactical situation. And what I mean by that is that there was a firefight, there was a hostage rescue, the suspect was shot 3 times with an MP5, and he stayed alive, causing a firefight for over 48 seconds, which is a long firefight, until he was finally neutralized and the hostage was rescued. At that point in time, the team said, we're moving away from this round. Now, was that the cause of it? I don't know, but we're now on that 223, 556 platform, and it just seems to be better for us. And I know most teams have gone to that. So I just think that the MP5 was good when tactical teams first started. I think it was a great weapon back in that day. That's kind of like what was only available for us. And then since that time, gun manufacturers have made specific tactical police guns, and that's why we have better weapon platforms today. But as far as comparing the two, I would think that the MP5 would be probably a better gun, because still it's lighter, probably a little bit more accurate to shoot. And I'm sure there's going to be people out there that are going to disagree with me. But once again, I'm just giving you my perspective of what I know, and there can definitely be a better argument for the UMP. Oh, the old 870. This shotgun is some old tech. And what I mean by that is there are, unfortunately, some departments that still utilize the pump action shotgun. You shoot it as fast as you can rack and pull the trigger. It doesn't carry as many rounds as some of the other ones. Like my department, we use the Benelli shotgun, and I think it's 7+1. And as fast as you can pull the trigger is as fast as you can get rounds down range. Obviously, you see with that one, not so much. Once again, it's just dependent on what the department that you work for wants to utilize. There are departments that are great. They have no problem with this. They're like, we love this weapon. And there are officers that will swear by this weapon. When it comes to SWAT operations, the only pump action we have, the breaching shotguns, all of our shotguns are the semi-automatic shotguns. But once again, this is a weapon that is still used in patrol. Is it a weapon that is some tactical teams are still using? Nothing wrong with it. Still does the same thing as the semi-automatic one, just not as fast. The HK 416, this might be a possible weapon that a team utilizes. It is a great weapon. I believe it's built on the 556 round. If not, it's the 223. I've never shot in real life this actual weapon. This weapon is a sort of like an M4. Basically, it's another manufacturer's version of what a tactical team could use. It has the rail system that we could add a lot of attachments to it. As you see here, they have the EOTech sights. It could be semi-automatic, fully automatic. On fully auto, you saw how the muzzle rises. Very realistic weapon for a tactical team. We just don't use that, but this can definitely be a weapon that a team uses, and even the military. It's a great, great weapon. Automatic versus semi-automatic, I think we all know that, unless you're a politician in the United States of America, because they don't seem to know what is what. But when it comes to an automatic, that is going to be a team preference. Our team has automatic weapons. We keep them on semi-auto unless we have to go to auto, and there may be an instance. We have not had an instance yet where we had to have them full auto, but we start off with semi-auto, and we have that option. For regular patrol services, though, all of their rifles, I want to say, are semi-automatic, but I could be wrong. We could have gone to fully automatic, but there are advantages to having that. But once again, I know people that can put a ton of bullets down range, even with a semi-automatic rifle. So once again, it is usually department policy preference. All right, the good old M4. This is probably the platform that is most utilized throughout law enforcement agencies in the United States, not just on tactical teams, but in patrol. It has just been around for so long that it's just a comfortable gun for all of us. We have an M4 in every one of our patrol cars. We have officers that have their own personal M4 so they can add their own personal attachments that make it that what they want to carry. Tactical teams, we just got away from the M4s just about a few years ago when we went to the SIG. It's a great weapon. It's a great weapon. It shoots a .223 round. There's the civilian model. There's a law enforcement model. Then there's the military model. Everything is pretty much interchangeable. There's accessories galore like no tomorrow. Hey, if you had to go to something, this is the one to have. And it's just like I said, it's utilized. I have my own personal M4 as well, and it's just a great weapon. I play Ready or Not, like I said, I play live with a bunch of guys on Tuesdays, and I'll throw that plug in. Every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Chris the Cop's channel, we play Ready or Not. I play with actual other Leos. We try to make some of our scenarios very, very realistic. We have different challenges where we call it like the 1990s challenge, where we go in with gear from the 1990s, and that would consist of a MP5 and a Beretta 92. And then we have other challenges where we call it the patrol officer challenge, where you go in with a Glock and 870 shotgun, because that would be what's utilized in patrol services. So for us, one of the things that I go to is I'll go to the M4 platform because it's what I know, as well as I will go with the HK USP 45 that's also in this game. And then pretty much all of the other gear that's there is pretty realistic, from the helmet to the ballistic vest. We keep it down to 3 magazines for our rifle, to a couple of magazines for our firearms, and then normally we'll try to challenge ourselves to only take in 1 or 2 flashbangs. Much of the equipment that you see in Ready or Not, about half of it would be realistic, true stuff that tactical teams would utilize. The other stuff is to attract the gamer element. That, hey, I want to try this, or I want to have this. But in reality, some of this stuff is, like I said, it's real, don't get me wrong. It's just not something that would be realistic for civilian law enforcement. It would be more utilized for a military operation. But once again, you got to give players what they want, and the players want to be able to be all decked out, and sometimes they want to treat the scenario like a military operation. So with that, it just, like I said, all depends on that. But that would be the equipment that I would carry. I don't really have any heartache about any of the equipment that we talked about today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, first of all, I want to say thank you to Gamology for allowing me to come back and talk about something I'm very passionate about, and that is SWAT operations. Ready or Not is a SWAT game. I'm a SWAT commander, police officer of 25 years, police lieutenant, and I'm just taken back that they're giving me the opportunity of taking all of my experience and giving it to you and giving you my perspective. And once again, like I tell you, this is my perspective on what is real, what is Hollywood, how these tools can be utilized in real tactical situations. The very simple fact of what you can outfit yourself when you're playing Ready or Not, which is a fantastic game. And if you like this type of stuff, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna definitely wanna follow Gamology on both YouTube and Facebook. Hit that follow button, hit that like button, and hit that bell icon for instant notification, so when you know when awesome videos such as this are uploaded. And as far as for me, if you want to see me playing Ready or Not, SWAT 4, and 0 Hour, head on over to my channel, Chris the Cop, and do the same. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris the Cop reminding all of you, peace. I don't have a picture, by the way, yet. All right. Night vision! That's the screen I'm telling you about. That close, yes. But some of the distances in the game, no, not so much.